Okay, just to let everybody know, we do record the meetings and post them on YouTube later. Another day.
Thank you. So I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole meeting of Tuesday, August 22nd to order, respectfully acknowledging that this meeting has been held on the traditional territory of the Quagga people, Yelakesa. May I have approval of the agenda as presented? Councillor Tidbury, Councillor Texmo seconded. All in favor? So we have delegations. Katie, are you going by Digby or Fyvie?
Ivy.
Katie Fyvie and Adam Fyvie, residents about the bike park. So thank you, Katie and Adam, for coming. And we have your pictures, which are amazing. And your so if you want to do a little blurb or talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So Adam and I have spent a lot of time camping in provincial parks, you know, in Southern Islands, interior and things like that. And bike parks are coming to be a big thing for children and then for teenagers as well, to help them with outdoor recreation opportunities. You know, giving them a way to be able to be outdoors, and then bike parks are able to allow them to train to be able then to have the experience to hit bigger trails. We liked the bike park that was at the provincial park at Miracle Beach, so we use that as an example in our proposal for the district. It's smaller scale, so you know, it's something that we think that would benefit our town. Could be used towards tourism as well, you know, generating some more tourism into the community, as presented that a bike park would allow, you know, campers that are traveling here with children or other individuals coming to our community to use the bike park. Something that would benefit our town and the youth that we have here.
Thanks. Councillor Robertson.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And this report is really good. It's well put together. It's I'm very impressed with it. And I have to say that it is how people coming to council, and when we certainly with the Parks and Rec Committee before this, it's how disc golf came to be with people coming, or is becoming pickleball, and it is how we sort of are comfortable in initiating other projects. But I will say that one of the things that as a council, I think we're looking for is that there is a group of people more who are willing to take the lead in the project. And it certainly sounds like you're on the right track for that. I think I don't think anybody here can say that I think it would fit quite well in the community, with the obvious challenge that we're not sure at this point how much it costs. Did you come by any costs? I know you mentioned that the Parks and Rec trails and sites and rec sites and trails instituted the one down Island.
I spoke with, I had a voicemail return from the manager
Okay.
of the Miracle Beach Provincial Park. We're kind of playing phone tag right now. Sounds like he may be able to offer me some insight into the costs that were put in, but it was BC Parks that actually installed the park at Miracle Beach at the campus.
Yeah. And that's interesting, actually.
It's really interesting when we read that.
Well, and of course, council takes a while to get stuff done, because I think we spent about 2 years trying to figure out a site for disc golf. Took us a while. Not anybody's fault other than ours, but and perhaps mine. But anyway, it's you know, great document. This is really well put together. I certainly see the value in it. We are not a huge community, so we have limited resources. But you know, if we've instituted other things where there've been grants, and so and thank you again for the links on where the grants are and things like that. So I think it's worth pursuing, and which doesn't mean it's going to happen quickly, but it could happen, and think it's something that, if we put our mind to it, then, we can try and get something to happen there. So, because I see it working in this community. So, anyway, thank you for the presentation and the document. It's great.
Yes, Councillor Texmo.
Yeah, I just kind of want to reiterate what Fred said there. I think that you put it together perfectly. Lots of photos, lots of information. It's a great idea. I just see my little boy ripping around the little park out there, which is perfect. The more recreation, the better. And I think something like that, especially in this town, I think you can get huge support in that way of volunteers and helpers to, go and put some time in to make that happen. Like I know so many people that would help, break ground and donate stuff, myself included, to make something like that happen. So I think it's a fantastic idea and definitely worth pursuing for sure.
Councillor Dorwood.
Yes, same, Katie. This is a great report. Thank you. It really is helpful to have lots of information and so well put together. Have you considered partnering with maybe a local service club who, has insurance and such, and like a society status to get grants?
For sure, I don't have any, I wasn't aware of anything like that when I put this together, or who to maybe approach
I
for
would check
that.
Rotary. Well, it's not me, but I'm a Rotarian, but yeah, Adam Ireton's the current president, and Sean Scott from Save on Foods is the community service person. So
Okay, thank you, Jenny. I'll be sure to reach out. Yeah.
Same as the Lions Club too, so.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. We put it out to the community. I did a public social media
Yeah.
post, and there was so much engagement. There were
Okay.
small business owners who reached out that said that they would be willing to donate, whether it be their time or resources or donations, monetary
Mhm.
donations. There was a lot of support coming from the community, so. Yeah.
I think, sorry,
Yeah, just, thank you so much, for all of your work. I saw the post online as well. And one thing that we've learned, in talking with other communities like Cumberland or Nanaimo is Nanaimo's a little bit different, but Cumberland for sure, you need that champion. And that group
Yeah.
or individual, someone that is willing to go forth, and then all of a sudden everyone falls in. So I think you're on the right track for sure. And there is that great need in our community, and so thank you so much. And I think that good things will happen, especially when you have that partnerships, and then we just pave the way and make it happen.
Thank you. Yeah. And I would be willing to step into a role like that. I would like to see this happen, especially, sooner than later. So definitely taking on that role and, approaching community groups. I can do that. Yeah.
If there was a club or a committee to form that could oversee it and maintain it even, and
we used to have a really active bike club. Cycling
Yeah.
club, and they built a lot of the trails.
Yeah,
And that's what you need is that.
Some of them are even legal too.
Right? What was that?
Some of them were legal too.
But yeah, so a champion, and then I think it sounds like you have a lot of support around this table and in the community as well, and that's how you make things happen. Thank you. Thank you.
so thanks very much. You're not the first proponent that's come forward with suggesting a bike pump track.
Yeah.
But you're the first one to come forward with such a concise
with
and
the-
detailed report, which is absolutely amazing, with also highlighting certain areas that you think
Mhm.
are feasible. So we can look at some of those areas and that's I know of other people that have approached me on the side about having a bike track for kids and for adults and stuff like that. So it certainly, to me, says there's a need in the community. And if we can see how we can find the land, some of the land that you suggested is kind of being earmarked for other things right now. Others like by the ballpark, we had looked at doing that for the dog park, but it flooded so badly that it would take a lot to get the soil in there. So it would have to be, or to get it up so that you could do it.
Yeah.
But there's certainly no reason why we couldn't ask staff to look at other land and other areas. And if you start doing some of the back work, and we'll maybe look at going forward. We can't make any decisions now, but we can take this under advisement.
I just wanted to clarify the difference between a bike track and a pump track. So the bike track is gonna be in a wooded area with like gravel or, basic soil, whereas the
Mhm.
pump track was actual concrete being poured.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a big difference in costs and resources and whatnot, and just wanted to point that out.
And
We use the term pump track in some of the proposal, for the bike park. It could have some pump components.
Yeah,
While still being gravel.
yeah.
So that
We were
could
just kind
be-
of proposed like an actual concrete track at one point, which is high cost.
A small youth track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This seems.
a lot more feasible and given that you can put it in almost any wooded area as long as there's, some sufficient drainage, right? So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took a walk around the town and then we were like, well, this could be perfect, or here could be perfect, so we presented these three opportunities.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
the land and where might actually work. Yeah, we're not sure, so.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. You know how to get a hold of them.
For sure.
So thanks very much. And, yeah, we'll be discussing it more.
Okay, perfect. So from here, so maybe I will reach out to community groups, see if there's any engagement from community groups. And then, do we book another meeting or what do we do going forward?
Yeah, even if you book another meeting and discuss it with Heather and myself, and then we can go from there.
And we can have an informal discussion ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay, thanks a lot.
Thank
You
you.
guys are welcome to stay for the rest of our riveting meeting, but you don't have
But it's
to.
certainly, you would be the first if you did.
This was more exciting than our regular council meeting.
Okay, pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks
Okay,
for all the hard work.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
yeah, have a good night.
Okay.
And I love the videos of the boys.
Oh, yeah. I thought I'd share that, so then that way it's actual visuals.
Yeah.
What it could look like, right?
Yeah, it was great. So,
Wonderful.
okay, thanks a lot.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
everyone.
Good night. Yeah.
Night. Okay, going on to the Port Hardy Harbor Authority, May, June, July 2023 monthly reports for information. Any discussion, concerns, comments?
Challenging jobs to do.
My God. Yes,
Busy season with all sorts of fun things.
yeah. Did you want to make any comments, seeing Anika's not here, or?
I have no comment.
Good call.
Smiling and nodding along.
Yes.
Thank you.
I kind of, so the weight limit at the Seagate Pier, we're just sort of taking track of what's going on there and,
Sure.
And then-
A little bit of an update.
yeah.
So we're thinking about some alternatives. So we do actually have the space to put the gate without actually impeding the flow of traffic because the bull rail runs on the outside of the
Yeah.
walkway that's on the side, and we did the measurement and you can fit a scooter down there without any issue. But the only thing is that if you were in a scooter and you were coming along, because that bull rail is continuous the entire length of the dock, you don't really have an opportunity to get off if there's somebody else coming, et cetera. So just some things that we would want to just grapple with in terms of, making sure that there's an opportunity for an exit. Anika's gone back to the idea of my suggestion at the very beginning, which was to put in an archway that says welcome to the Seagate Pier that limits the height of a vehicle, which also helps to restrict the weight. Because most of the vehicles that we're experiencing issues with the weight actually have a height. So that would allow people to still be able to drive down in a pickup truck and still be without having to have a key. And so we're looking at what these options would look like, and it would lock, so that if we ever did have to take a vehicle that was larger, that did meet the weight requirements, then we just unlock it and it would swing open. So she's working with Julian on some different options there, just to make sure that we're not limiting the access on the dock and also not doing it at a cost that is prohibitive for the purposes.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, Sequati wastewater operations report, Q2 2023 for information. Comments, questions? We have Pam here that can answer any comments, any questions? Off the hook for that one.
Well, we're well within an operating permit.
which is good. Yeah, that's like what we like to hear. Airport wastewater operations report, Q2 2023 for information.
Also within our operating permit.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ken. Port Hardy Water Treatment Plant monthly report, May and June 2023 for information. I'll go with.
Just wondering, bring an update on how things are looking with the water availability. This drought or conditions we've been in.
Water at the dam is shrinking every day. We're watching for the rain. We're expecting rain to come in September, and once it does, this will all be done.
Do we have like historical data of the dam levels or anything like that?
Want me to take this one?
Sure.
Okay. So I actually have been working with Joe on trying to come up with some historical data. So when we raised the level of the dam in 2019, we stopped keeping track because we were gonna hold back more water.
Okay.
So it's really hard for us to show the difference. And interestingly, he actually gave me a flow chart representing 2015, 16, 17, and 18. And in 2015 is when we did the econometric study on the dam on how much water was there, because we'd actually faced some drought conditions out at the lake at that point in time, and so that was steadily declining. So he'd actually provided me with a report, and I thought 2015 meant 2023 because the line was going down and it only stopped in the middle of the year. And the explanation that I got was because it kept going down, we stopped recording because that's when the study was done. So that was kind of a 2015, and then in 2016 we picked up collecting that data again. But then in 2019, when we raised the dam, we stopped collecting the data. So we've been keeping track this year, and it is steadily going down. So we typically, I'll just give you just a bit of a visual. So this is from May to now, represented in centimeters. So you can see that it's quite a steady decline, and then we had some rain that occurred. So then we had a bit of an uptick, and then we went back down again, and then we got some more rain, and so we're on another uptick as well. But again, you'll notice that the recovery levels are still low. So that's 0.36 of a meter that we're down below the level. So these are the things that we're paying attention to. We have been requested, due to the fact that it has been raining, to remove the watering restrictions. We're not, as a result of that. We're also encouraging all staff to follow the requirements. So we have canceled slip and sliding at our camp coming up this week as a result, so that we're leading by example. They'll be doing some other low water games for the time being, but we're still continuing to hold on. And if you were paying attention to the call from the minister, sorry, Councillor Tidbury, they're still pushing. The drought level conditions are dire in the province, and of course, because the water isn't reaching that level. There's some reports actually in the fire in Yellowknife, we were discussing this today, that the fire is actually burning 6 and 7 feet below ground level, due to the fact that there's such extreme drought conditions. So it's so dry even that far down. So we're definitely trying to hold tight, keeping with what we can. And like I said, we did get a little bit of rain, but a little bit of rain doesn't really penetrate. It doesn't really give us much of a difference. I think at one point we recorded like 0.4 of an increase of a centimeter.
And did we, in that time zone that we didn't record, we also had a valve problem too, didn't we?
Correct, yes.
So, the valves weren't sealing correctly. So we were having water loss there. And that's from the dam.
Yeah.
And the other thing you have to remember too, sorry,
That's
that's my text mom, is that we have to get enough water down the river as well to be able to
Yeah.
fish. So we're not just taking water from the dam, from the lake for our purposes, we're also making sure that there's enough water coming down to keep the fish habitat.
Councillor Texel.
I've had a couple people approach me about this, and Tammy also mentioned it in the last meeting about the new sanding done. We've been down there and people washing their boats constantly. Like, I've had a few people mention to me, and then actually I was just fishing last night and I got off at Anita's dock and someone was trying to wash her boat, and she came screaming out of nowhere and was like, absolutely no water usage. So I'll say she's doing her job over there. But is there some sort of enforcement or something we can do because there's a lot of boats and they're not just washing their boats. I drove by and there's trailers getting washed and trucks getting washed, and it just looks bad that people are doing that, yet people at home can't wash their vehicles or whatever.
Can we look at a coin or some sort of restriction?
Like a time limit?
That's what a
Get
time limit-
get a valve with a timer on it, you know?
Are there signs?
So it would be annoying
That's an-
That you
to,
won't
I don't think
to
so.
use,
do that. That's a
to
good
wash a
idea.
vehicle
Yeah.
without going back and pressing the button or something.
Just incentivize.
Yeah, exactly. Or the pay thing where you pay.
Yeah, or pay thing.
Well, or it's,
Are there signs up at this point? Don't wash your boat?
Yeah,
or don't wash your boat or trailer or car.
yeah.
I mean, just put up a water
You know,
restriction.
obviously when you
I
touch
think-
your sand, you gotta spray your hose out and
Yeah.
stuff. That's
Yeah,
totally
that's-
normal.
I mean,
Yeah,
if people knew. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think anyone's really setting anyone really.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty fair point. Just putting a couple of cheap signs down there to start and see if it does makes a
With a fake
difference.
camera.
Fake camera.
Yeah,
Or a real camera.
Yeah.
Counselor Dorwood?
And while we want the signage to be clear, nice signage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Catch more flies with honey, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You do.
we'll
Please
limit the
conserve our water.
F-sharps
Yeah.
and.
Yeah.
No boat washing allowed or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
There is a
And
car wash down at High Creek.
Yeah, our water is low. Please do not.
Yeah.
Just simple. Yeah.
I wondered too about doing some kind of, because so many people have asked about the water level and why we're still on restriction 3 and all the rest. If we can do an explanation with our, showing where
Yeah.
the lake level's going down and that we're also watching water for the fish too.
and conserving for wildfire purposes.
And conserving for wildfire
In case.
purposes. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it'd go a long way, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of people are asking the same questions.
yeah. Okay, so anything more on the Port Hardy water treatment plant, not the report? Pam So, Director of Engineering and Operations, June and July 2023 month report. For information. Any questions for our Director of Engineering and Operations, Councilor Dorwood?
Are the turbid meters being stalled or installed?
Installed.
Okay.
It kind of makes a difference.
I know with the typo, I was like, I'm sure it's a typo, but like, does that mean they're not here?
Good
Well, there
catch.
was actually quite a few typos. Not that I like to point these things out, but
Yes, you did.
the other ones
Be
were
honest.
easier to figure out. Yeah, like planning of New Columbian, that was the other one. I'm not sure what that means. Under parks. Sorry, I don't mean to be picky. I just mean, what does it mean?
We're planning a new columbarium in the cemetery.
Oh, columbarium.
Is there, I know it's not on here, but is there any word on the lights for the seawall?
We installed a couple of them and we installed the control center for it. And once we get the control center working, then we'll install the rest of the lights. We're having issues with figuring out configuration for the like how to connect the computer to the lights. But it's set up. We just have to figure out.
Figure out the details.
Yeah.
Awesome. That'll be fun. I can't wait for Halloween. Any other comments, questions? Thank you. Okay, Tanya Cole, Director of Recreation and Community Services, monthly reports for information. Comments, questions? Tanya, would you like to say anything?
Always happy to speak to my reporters, always. And so stick and puck update, hopefully there's no spelling mistakes in that title.
I didn't see any, just so you know, I didn't see any here. It's not, it's typos, and the computer doesn't catch them, right? So.
So, yeah, so we had a great meeting, an annual IC user meeting on July 26th, with our best attended meetings here. These annual user meetings are representatives of presidents and managers of our beats. that come out and we discuss the annual season and any wish lists and any concerns that they have. And with our ice going in Friday, that we had it early this year. There was one comment raised about the stick and puck debate that was mentioned here during council on June 27th and in regards to the social media posts and things like that. So we just clarified our policies, why we changed our policies in 2021 due to safety and liability issues and offering more diversification with stick and puck for the younger age group and then youth drop in hockey for the youth and then the adult drop in hockey. So more diversification, more opportunities for the different levels of, levels and ages to be able to learn the game of hockey and scrimmage without the fear of the puck and flying pucks without full gear. There were no other concerns raised. The suggestion came from one user, which I thought was brilliant. Why not change the name from stick and puck to stick and foam puck to make it really clear to people that we're using foam or plastic pucks for this.
Yeah, that's a simple
program.
term.
Simple suggestion, which I thought was great. And then still have our youth drop in hockey, which has, the use of full, with real pucks with full gear. So, we thought based on the feedback from the users and then talking with staff and the increase of safety and liability across the board for all programming, staff have decided, are recommending that we keep within with the programming that we have offered since 2021 by offering those 3 diversifications and see how it goes this season. If we do get more demand for, a hybrid of some sort, where we can offer a stick and puck with the use of real pucks, but with limited gear, then we can entertain that at that time. But at this point, we feel that the safety and liability is a priority for all of us. And when you look at the numbers, I've put this together on the sheet here, just looking at some of the statistics from the past few years. So the yellow highlighted years are the ones that were only stick and puck is offered with use of real pucks and limited gear. And then the blue highlighted years are when we diversified, when we offered the stick and puck with foam pucks, no full gear, and then the youth drop in hockey and adult drop in hockey. So a couple of comments, just observations. So the fall 2019 saw a huge spike in stick and puck, 667. Part of that reason is we had early ice back then, as we do today, this year, which obviously skews the average numbers. But when you look at the fall of 2018, so 410, and then you compare that to 2021, we're actually seeing an increase of users overall with with the stick and puck, youth drop in hockey and adult hockey. So that gives me some comfort that we're not, that we are still getting the numbers out. And same with when you're comparing winter 2018 and winter 2022, you're actually seeing an increase in players from 2018 to 2022. Fall 2022, I did see a decrease in stick and puck from previous years. That could be, a turnover in youth. Youth back in the 2018 era was, who are 13, 14 years old, are obviously older now, and they tend to move on. So there's always a turnover every 4 to 5 years in youth. And also prior to 2021, we didn't offer a lot of programming. There was the stick and puck, but was our main focus. Now there's a whole, slew of different programs, including learn to skate programs and hockey development programs and learn to hockey programs. So there's a much more diversification of our programming. And in winter 2023, although numbers were low, I was happy to see that the youth drop in hockey brought out more patrons than the stick and puck. So we are getting the message out that we are offering real pucks with full gear, and we are getting those children out there and the youth out there. And then lastly, I'm speaking with my colleagues in the industry. They feel that we're offering more diversification and more safety, and for liability reasons, we are upholding best standards. It's not everyone follows these best standards, but I think that given the increase in safety in general, I think we're on the right track.
Can I have something to add to?
Yes, please.
Okay. So just looking at the liabilities, a couple of the other arenas actually just do gear as recommended. So I did do a bit of a deep dive on the insurance requirements of when you use wording like that, and there are some liabilities that we have to be aware of if we were to say, because right now we're saying gear is a requirement, which means we're policing it. So we need to make sure that if we say gear is a requirement, then staff are actually enforcing the fact that gear is a requirement. But if we say it's just recommended, just saying it's recommended doesn't absolve yourself of any liability. It could actually make it unclear for people that what it is that's going to be required, or they could say afterwards that they didn't know that it was a recommendation. If they don't follow the recommendations and then they do have an issue, or they have gear that isn't the recommended gear and then they have an issue, then that could fall back on us as well. The legal disclaimer, especially when it comes to emphasizing personal responsibility, doesn't relieve us. It's like saying use at your own risk kind of situation. It doesn't actually relieve our liability. And if minors are involved, that's the other thing. 'Cause then we're saying it's recommended. So who's going to come in and sign off on consent if they don't actually put on the required gear for that purpose? So one of the things, just in terms of providing recommendation, is a helpful gesture, but it doesn't completely absolve you of the potential liabilities. So what I would suggest is that, going to that point is if there is an option to do a hybrid, take away the scrimmaging as we talked about before, and then do it's recommended that you wear gear, but we've taken away that extra layer of issue with injury. Injury is always going to happen potentially with hockey. It's just that you increase it when you start having more physical activity, more physical connection.
We know what you mean.
Contact.
Yeah, contact. Contact sport, yeah. So those are the just from our insurer, these were just the recommendations that they had provided, and that they felt as though we were following best practice in order to reduce injury. It doesn't absolve us of no injury. So, there is always going to be a risk of injury, and it's like going to a skate park, right? You have a bunch of signs and rules. People go on skate and they hit their head because they're not wearing a helmet. It's going to happen the same thing in hockey. It's a regular occurrence. So there is an inherent risk that already lies with the hockey. So this is just our ability to kind of control it a little bit in terms of where our risk lies.
Yeah. Comments, questions?
No, I just remembered Janet's comment. Yeah, we used to ride in the back of trucks. Stuff changes. Despite my better.
Your instincts.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because we know that we had the proponent that came to the table that was quite passionate. And we did make the comment how did you word it? If requests do arise for a hybrid option, accommodations will be made based on ice availability. And we know that there's a passion for this right now, and we know that there are requests for this. Is there any ice available that can be scheduled into the regular programming? And then we can kind of track to see who shows up for it. Just an idea. I'm just throwing that out.
You mean, sorry, if I just to clarify, to me, just schedule it now and see if people actually come out to it.
Yeah, just schedule it now and, it's have the hybrid with the real pucks and, gear recommended and
no scrimmage.
And then scrimmage or no scrimmage.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Just like I said, I'm just throwing that out, and if there is some ice available, that.
So would that be like dividing the ice, like this half is like foam, this half is regular, or what? I don't know.
No, because I think that from a safety standpoint, then we'd just schedule a time slot
Oh, I see
for that,
Okay.
for that hybrid option. It is difficult to police, scrimmaging. What technically, what is scrimmaging? Is it 2 people? Is it 4 people? Is it half a team? So, and we can't put that, the onus can't be on our staff to be policing.
That's right. And they've got other jobs to do.
Yes, yeah. So we would have to somehow, as a disclaimer, we have to say that, it is recommended full gear. However, if you do choose not to come with full gear, then no scrimmaging permitted. And hope that
They follow the
they
rules.
follow the rules, and I hope there's no injuries.
It'll just give us a better insight to how it's gonna go. Whether it's a concern or whether it's not a concern.
I thought the numbers were showing it isn't really.
Pardon?
I thought the numbers were showing that it isn't really a concern. Am I wrong?
It's true, I mean, the numbers show that we're not losing people because of our
Yeah.
health and safety protocols. The
But we're not offering that.
disadvantage of offering too much is that you spread the people out too thinly. That you might get too here for there, it might discourage people from wanting to come to one thing or another, and you might lose the enticement to come if you don't get a lot of people out, so we're open to trying. My recommendation is to stick with our safety protocol, as is, until we get further, requests coming in. To whatever you're,
Have you had official requests?
sorry?
Have you had?
No, and that's what, I'm waiting for this proponent to come to me and sit down with me and talk about this. It's only been brought to our attention through council. As mentioned last in June, the olive branch has been extended many times to accommodate this one person. But it's never been reciprocated.
Based on the comments on social media, it's not just one person.
Yeah, I mean, I got broad or beat down over it, especially because I coach hockey and I'm involved with, like, I know all the parents, all the kids and everything like that, and I got barraged really hard and I'm still getting barraged over this. A lot of it was, that I heard was that it's really hard for kids to go and get full gear during hours at school and stuff like that, to actually make it in time to put the gear on, have, play and then take the gear up and make it back in time, stuff like that. And yeah, I understand that both sides of it for sure, but I would definitely like to see, like, I'm in agreement with Pat, I'd like to see it be at least tried and see, our kids following the rules, and if they're not, then, too bad for you, we tried, you take it away, on the parents at that point to make sure your kids are listening, and that we tried, we did our due diligence on our side to try and accommodate, and they're unwilling to, because they're not listening, and then too bad, we take it away, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yes.
One of the things that was offered was the ability to store gear at the actual arena, so that the kids wouldn't have to bring the gear to the arena and then take it away. So maybe that would be the solution, is to maybe publicize that if your child is unable to get their gear to the hall themselves, for those particular times, maybe there's an opportunity for storage.
Yeah.
Because then they just have to come and go.
Yeah.
Takes a while to put on the gear though.
But we taught them during COVID, get it on fast.
Oh, that's right.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
What is the storage capacity for gear, like, compared to numbers of people showing up? How much, like, will we have room for a significant amount of kids to store their gear in the lockers? Given that there's already youth hockey and all the lockers, a lot of them are taken up already with youth hockey, or?
Yeah, so last season we had 5 consistent people come, and they would drop it off, they would keep it in the arena vestibule, and then their parents would come pick it up at the end of the night. So, I mean, we're there during the day, so
Yeah.
it's it's not a theft concern or violation concern, but we do have ample room in dressing rooms. So storage is not an issue.
Yeah.
Plus we have that storage at the end of the hallway that's been cleaned out for our purposes now, so that can be used for your lock and key if people choose to keep it more safe. So storage is not the issue. That's for sure. I guess the other concern I have is how do we ensure that waivers are signed? Given the attention now to liability, waivers being more scrutinized and more detailed, ensuring the drop-in kids as they come to the door, that they have to sign a piece of paper saying that, we absolve all liabilities if you do not come with full gear.
So I'll just comment on that. If we were to offer a hybrid where we said no scrimmaging, then we wouldn't have to worry about having liability waivers. It would just be part of the program. It's if we allow scrimmaging and then say gear is recommended, then we're already increasing that risk to that individual. We know that that risk exists, which means we'd want to get those liability waivers signed off by the parents. So that's just to clarify that. So if we did offer the hybrid option, then it would be understood that there wouldn't be any scrimmaging or team play, contact sport. And then if they were participating in contact sport, then we'd have to look at policing and do bans or suspensions or anything of people who don't follow the rules. So those are just some things that we would have to kind of play with internally. But if we just did the recommended and then left it the way it is right now, where we can scrimmage, then we'd have to have this liability set up.
With finishing.
Yeah.
I'll support whatever you guys want.
I'm not the hockey player. I'm just the one that had 5 hockey bags in my house for many years that I had to walk by. It wasn't pleasant, let me tell you.
3 boys played hockey, dad played hockey.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the concept.
Eleanor and I are on the same page.
She didn't mind.
Oh, I bet. Anyways, what's your pleasure?
I like to say give it a try.
Me too.
Yeah, good support.
Is that like once a week or what's the?
Yeah, even if it was once a week and just give it a try for its
No scrimmaging.
no scrimmaging.
And for age, so the younger age groups, the 11 to.
I think I'm talking to you before, the concern was mixing a certain age group.
Yeah.
Having a certain age and older, just because there's issues with, you're mentioning bullying or just kids being just out of their element for sure. Yeah, it was so much different when I was growing up. There was just, our age group was just there. There was never any younger kids for stick time, and it was just, helmets and gloves, and you just scrimmage and did whatever, and there was just never any younger kids. There was just like so it's kind of a difficult one now. If you have kids that are younger that want to show up into this, there's gonna have to be a certain age, otherwise.
That, I would agree with you on that. Yeah.
13, you're pretty little still too, right? Like it's.
Not all of them.
I'd almost say you'd have to be in high school.
Yeah.
I would say you have to be grade 8 to grade 12, because they're all kind of mixed in together anyway with their sports in high school. For the most part, I guess. You're 13 and you go into grade 8?
12, 13.
12, 13.
Yeah. So,
You say grade 8 and higher.
yeah, that's what I would think, grade 8 and higher.
No?
So I come from the world of rugby, and I would love to have had at 17, some 13-year-olds to crush into the ground.
But it's non-contact though. This
But the
isn't rugby.
size, the maturity level of boys between 13 and 17 is huge.
It is, and it isn't in some regards, but this is also just shooting pucks at nets and just skating around. This isn't full-on contact rugby practice, though.
That's right.
A little different. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, if it was like,
This is no scrimmage then.
No.
yeah, no scrimmage.
Oh,
If this
okay.
were
Yeah,
scrimmaging, then
I'm-
yeah, 100%, it's no go. Like, there's a size difference in that.
And goalies,
Sorry, I thought the hybrid was with scrimmage.
It isn't with scrimmage.
No.
No scrimmage.
Real puck, but no
Real
scrimmage.
puck, no scrimmage. That
We
was,
already have that?
No.
Oh, no, that's,
and that was like kind of the kind of middle ground with everybody, so to speak, was that, why can't we do that? So.
Yeah. It's CAO, Nelson Smith.
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna do it and it's just gonna be just playing with a puck, why put an age limit on it?
if it's just practice, then I still think high school is not a bad idea, but if there's no scrimmaging, and then the any contact isn't incidental. Somebody's lining somebody up outside of a scrimmage, and that means they should just be thrown out.
Yeah.
And that's pretty clear at that
Yeah.
point. So there should be zero contact and no incidental contact. Escape, good reason to keep your head up.
Are elementary school even allowed to leave their lunch and go and play hockey?
Not as well.
You have to get permission, I think.
Right. Okay,
Like, parent would have.
right.
So we are just looking at the upper grade.
It's mostly just high school then anyway.
Yeah.
And anyone that was coming to me and barraging me about it was all high school kids for sure, yeah.
That's
I just wonder if our rec department could make the if they could make the recommended ages and stuff, because they're the professionals who know
who,
the rec department.
Oh, the
Like,
rec
instead of us trying to develop these guidelines,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like, you know the size of I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like the recommendation belongs there, and then we can look at the recommendation.
yeah,
I can provide a bit of that from coaching every age. And
Yeah, like with the
Yeah, some of us do have some experience. in
Yeah.
this.
Anyway, I'm not comfortable recommending an age group because I'm not a recreation professional, so I'm not comfortable making that myself. But I'm not involved in hockey, so,
And
I mean,
I just wanted to add too, though, that, you know, the other part about not making an age is that, you know, if you're gonna have it, there could be adults that wanna come at lunchtime too, and there
Yes.
might only be one time slot a week. And so if we just say, you know, 12 and up, and come on out and shoot a puck, and all you're doing is shooting a puck and not doing anything else, then, you know, ultimately, I think that might actually attract some adults that might. want
They
to
will
come
attract
out.
adults, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds
give you some supervision kind of too at that point.
Exactly, if we're
Yeah.
putting adults on the ice at the exact same time, you'll keep them hopefully
Yeah.
under wraps, right?
Hockey player adults, so.
We don't always have to separate
Yeah,
children from
Yeah, yeah, for
adults,
sure.
right?
I
Especially
thought they
train
were
those
children.
Because those, well, and you are. I'll give you that one, you're going backwards. But yeah, that's the other thing too, right, is you don't wanna be so limited in this one particular time, we wanna see what
Yeah.
the gauge of the
Yeah.
response is.
Yeah, I didn't even think
And then
about
have those
adults.
conversations with people that are actually there, and
Yeah.
so I think that with that direction, Tanya can look at a schedule and see what kind of lunchtime during the week works to be able to provide an option.
Great.
okay,
Yeah, we'll
Awesome.
coordinate with the lunchtimes for high school kids.
Awesome.
okay,
We'll
great.
come up with a new name too. Get away from stick and puck.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your report.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
And Heather Nelson Smith, CAO, verbal report regarding dog park naming.
I have a question.
Sorry,
It's not on the report.
okay.
Do we have any sort of schedule coming up for the pool?
Oh,
Yeah, would you like my update?
yes.
Yeah,
Which is that I'm still waiting for the contractors to come up with a definitive date as to when they're gonna be done. So we did have a meeting last week, so I'll be, you know, totally frank with everybody. We had a meeting last week and there was some dates of October being thrown around. Due to there's a bit of an issue because one of our contractors was also working in Yellowknife when it got evacuated. And so we've got another overlap issue that we're also working on because now they're not there and they've been deployed someplace else, but we've got people here putting the liner in. All of the equipment, you might have seen has arrived. Lori's doing the, housekeeping pad for the AHU unit.
Oh, I was
So,
wondering what that was.
yeah,
Okay.
so, sorry, the air handling unit. So all of that is moving. The issue is that with that first contractor that was doing the pool liner is they have all of the tile work that has to be done around the exterior of the pool as well. So once they get the liner on the inside, then they still have to finish the tile work that's gonna go around, and that's getting the tiler to get here to come and do that. It's a small piece, so that's what we're just waiting on to find out what that coordination is, so we can actually get that date. So that October date there was no actual date, that just the word October was thrown out. So I'm not sure what that looks like until I get to the full listing. So that's why you're not seeing the full programming at this point. Until I get that date.
so was the Tyler evacuated from Yellowknife and deployed somewhere else?
Tyler?
The Tyler,
I don't know if it was the Tyler, I just know that that company was evacuated. from-
oh, it's a company was
Yeah.
evacuated.
They had to take their entire crew out,
Wow.
which means
Crazy.
they have things that they have to settle with there too.
What about, what's happening with the HVAC?
So the HVAC is still on schedule to come at the end of October to be installed by mid-November. So what we're trying to figure out is exactly when the opening date could happen and whether or not we're going to just wait until we're actually fully done, or whether we can actually do a temporary air handling unit to buy this by at the time so that we can open early. If that time is only a few weeks,
Mhm.
then it doesn't make sense for us to spend that kind of money in order to be open. If it's more like over a month, then it totally makes sense for us to consider having it open for that period of time. And that's where we just need to finite these dates so that we can make that firm decision. I have all of the pricing for that. The crew that is currently working on the air handling unit is prepared to, they already have the parts and are willing to go ahead and do that work once we give them the okay, but I need that date in order. So they all know that they have dates that they have to get me in order to be able to have them move on with the projects that they want to get done as well.
We waited this long.
Some of us don't wanna wait
Some
any
of us
longer.
have people barking at us.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the people talking to me every single day.
Yeah.
Our department gets a lot.
Yeah.
I bet.
But it's because of the article in the paper. In the article that said that we're opening it or in September.
Well, and that's what we were told before. So, and we have
I
to
didn't
tell
say
people what we were doing.
I didn't make any of that up myself,
No, none of us made that up.
just so that everybody's aware, everything's saying.
Was that I'm saying?
I didn't speak out of turn on anything in that article.
No, absolutely
In
not.
case anybody's thinking that.
No,
Speaking
Oh
clear.
my gosh, no, Janet, no, no.
That's what our hope was, right? Is that, that's
Yeah.
what we've been pushing for, is that mid to late September, you know, we wanted to be open by basically the end of summer. And summer is the 21st of September. That was the indication of,
Getting a little dodgy with summer.
yeah, I know, it's a little dodgy, but that's what we were hoping for, because that's
Yeah.
the timeline, and we were on track for that. And, you know, unfortunately, there's a few snafus that end up, you know, when you have two contractors working on the same project that have different timings, and then you have
State of
a
emergency.
state of emergency, you've got, you know, access to supply and demand, you've got access to workers, you've got, you know, all of them all come together and play. It's gonna be done, and it's going to happen, and we know that, you know, if it's November the 1st, when the air handling unit, or November the 12th, when the air handling unit is commissioned, and that's great. We've got, everybody on standby as well for all the permitting. And we had hoped that we'd be able to get all the permitting done before the end of September, so that we could utilize the existing health officer, but well, as soon as we know those dates, we'll let them know. So that we can make sure we get somebody from, Campbell River to come up and, cover off on that, to make sure that we get our permits all in place. So we've already put all of that into motion to make sure that we're set to go. The other thing that it had actually happened to that was a bit of a delay was when they specified, the room itself, the pump room. So the items that were going in there were not actually spec'd to begin with. So they said it must meet these requirements. And then the contractor then provides the actual equipment that's gonna go in there. And so one of the other little hangups is the fact that we now have to stack the puck system, the chlorination system, instead of it being a side-by-side unit, it's actually a standing unit in order to make sure that everything fits. So there's a housekeeping pad that's being done inside the pump room, and until we could determine the height, the width, and the spacing around the items, we had to hold on getting the housekeeping pad, because if we poured the housekeeping pad too thick, and now all of a sudden that unit doesn't fit, well, how are we supposed to get that in there? And then if you put it in there and you put the anchors in, and you put the anchors in the wrong spot, and you didn't have the clearance around the back of it. So those things all had to be dealt with, and they finally got that squared away at the last meeting that we had this past week. So there's little bits and pieces that, you know, you don't realize are as big as they are until all of a sudden somebody goes, oh, hey, wait a second, that doesn't fit in that corner, or that's too big, or that needs to be stacked differently. And so then all of a sudden you're having to go back and forth to make sure that everything is done correctly. At this point in time, I believe they're pouring concrete next week, so that's what you see.
It's been done.
Inside?
Yeah.
Oh, and then they're gonna be pouring out here next week. So, and you've seen Lori O'Connor's working on the path there next door.
Delays seem to be inevitable whenever it comes to any type of construction. I don't know any construction project that's ever finished on time.
I will agree.
Maybe McDonald's.
I was going to say,
I thought they were delayed too. A little bit, like only a little bit.
are McDonald's delayed?
They work 24/7 though, don't they?
Seems like they should do McDonald's construction, and it does get literally 24 hours, and you get party time.
Wow.
They seem to.
Anyhow. Thank you. And thank you. Not great news, but thank you. Verbal report regarding the dog naming park.
So I have to say, wow. So we had about 535 people participate in the last round of the 3 names. So we started off with 58 names to begin with, narrowed it down to 9. Then we got it down to 3. So the 3 contenders were the parking lot, the Bark Park, and Watsy Park. And Watsy is the Buffalo word for dog. And so I will let you know that 58% of the people chose Watsy Park for the
Cool.
3 items. So that is our name. I have reached out to Tom Child to confirm the spelling. And before we do any kind of ordering of signs, to make sure that we're all in agreement that we've got it right. And, but that is the official name for the dog park. If anybody has any objections,
I don't know.
that would be the recommended.
I think it's great, and I'm still taken away by how much it's getting used. It
Oh my
was
God.
constant. Is that water going in there too
Yes,
right
it
now?
is.
Cause someone was hounding me, he's just.
Hounding you?
I love it.
Hounding
I
you?
love it. Yeah, there you go. I love the park, but I just love to have some water there for my dog. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the water's going in right now. That's what you're seeing. They're like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I'll ask next time I'm at council, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the water line was exposed, and thankfully they were able to dig a little bit further besides to the other side of the world where they started off. So we ended up exposing a water line that we thought, was fully charged. Is that what was the black piping for that water line?
Oh, I did see.
Oh, you didn't see it? Okay. Anyway, I got called up there because it was quite a few meters down and a very large hole in order to find said water line. They did a little bit more digging a little further over and ended up finding the service connection that they could tap into. So we didn't have to tap into the main line, which is good.
Oh.
And that main line runs underneath the mall parking lot. So we didn't want to mess anything up. So thankfully they went a little and looked a little bit further. So Joe gave me an update that they found a better location to be able to tap into. So on the trustee side of the park is where the water spigot is gonna go in. And crews are already sourcing a bunch of hydrants to put up in the middle of the park, so the dogs have something to
Cute.
pee on. to get water out of.
What about the girl dogs?
Oh, girl dogs do that too.
My dog.
Not our girl dogs.
My girl dog does. So I had them put the spigot closest, so it's about 3 runs from the end of the corner, that's at the corner of the entrance to the mall and the corner of Trustee. So anticipating that people would then walk over to get it. And we gave enough room so that if we wanted to put like a little 10x10 gazebo shelter in there, we put one in that corner and then kind of keep the entrance a little free. So that people aren't congregating right at the entrance and being able to kind of get where they need to go. I do have to say that Port McNeil put in a dog park as well, and which I thought hasn't really gotten any publicity, and I happened to see it, and I'm really thankful, Cam, that you did ours, but 5 times the size. Because it's great to see tons of people in there.
Yeah.
So we'll be putting in some budget requests for some smaller items, like a couple of little gazebos, just so that people don't get wet when they're in there, and maybe a couple of benches.
Oh, and I've had people asking for trees, like we currently have built or down the walkway to have some trees for shelter and shade and,
We already have a donation of trees
Oh,
coming from the mall owners.
oh my
Oh,
gosh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
We were planning to put them in September.
That's great.
Very cool.
Mhm.
That's excellent.
And I know, Counselor Texmo and I see that dog park every single day, multiple times, and the number of people and their animals using it is pretty amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's nice to see something go through and actually get used and people just like, not hearing negativity for once. And people are like, this is great. We love it. Everyone's just using the heck of it. So it's
Yeah.
great. Home run
Yes, so thank
out of
you.
the dog park.
Is there going to be a grand opening? Do you think?
Once we get the sign, we'd like to do a grand opening.
Okay,
Sweet.
great. All right. Thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn. Counselor Texmo. We have 1 minute.
It's a
For
water.
next.
Are you able to print here?
Am I able to
Print here?
sometimes?
This is absolutely unrelated to anything other than. personal.
Article.
Yeah,
Oh, you just sent me an email. Could you please print out?
And in the Gazette, one,
Fishing license? I can't.
It's away.
read it.